Welcome to the Global Energy Leaders Podcast, powered by R Squared Global.
Welcome to another edition of the Global Energy Leaders Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Ray, and today we bring on the folks from Talk Texas Oil to discuss Texas Oil and the E3 Summit, which is, I believe, tomorrow, July 19th. And so we'd love to see you there. Also, reach out to me on Twitter at Ryan Ray Sr. and let me know if you're going to be there. Without further ado, here's my conversation with the folks from Talk Texas Oil. Well, Katherine and Kristen, it's been a pleasure to interact with you guys on social media. Y'all are so active with Talk Texas Oil and just to kind of see what all you have going on. And so it's an honor for you to be on the show. Thank you all so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us, Ryan.
Yes, thank you for having us this afternoon.
Okay, so let's kind of get into it here. Talk Texas Oil, what does that mean? What does it represent? Who is Talk Texas Oil for the listeners who may not have seen you on social media? And if you're in Texas Oil and you haven't seen you guys, I don't know where you've been because you guys are everywhere. But for those who may not be familiar with the hashtag and the movement, what is it and how did it start?
Well, it's really just a group of us that it was a handful of oil and gas experts and individuals that are very committed to the energy sector as a whole that had a lot to say, and we were like, well, what do you do with a lot of people like that? So we just decided to take the conversation to social media and launched Talk Texas Oil with, I think, 6 or 7 different experts. We come from different backgrounds, so our expert in the energy field is very diversified. It's not all just E&P or pipelining or, upstream, downstream, midstream. We cover everything. And we decided to launch it on Inauguration Day, looking at basically the new administration coming in, regardless of who you voted for, was going to obviously affect the energy sector. And what did we think of that coming from our different backgrounds? So that's where we really got started. And it had a really good, it was a successful campaign. And we started getting involved in more, helping out with Texoga's Energy Day in Austin, along with everyone else. And had a lot of folks following up with Kristen and Kimberly and Spencer Bennett and Chris Holcomb and a lot of the folks that are on Talk Texas Oil asking us different questions and saying, hey, how else could we help generate discussion and how could we, lend expertise or momentum to an event, regardless of whether that event's in Houston. I know Kimberly's done a STEM event over in Atlanta, Georgia, but really focused on Texas and lending that momentum to events and engaging all levels of leadership.
Yes, and with Talk Texas Oil, it's such a beautiful concept because it really does connect the different sectors between, upstream, downstream, midstream. And we kind of focus, too, on connecting with the people in the field, especially on social media, because there's kind of a disconnect between the corporate and in the field. And I work in oil country tubular goods, so pipe yards and being on the rigs and knowing your, the people that are inspecting your pipe and the quality of the professionalism, the expertise, and how far it goes. We just really connected with Catherine in the West Texas Energy Consortium. They have a welding center of excellence there, and they really help educate kids and push them through and kind of get them focused on STEM, not just like the petroleum engineering side, but, I mentioned the pipeline. I mean, they are the pipeline in Texas, connecting education to the oil and gas industry. So we're just lucky to be a part of that and to have Catherine on our team. And there's, like she said, 6 or 7 of us that are just pushing forward, and we're on all different channels on social media, and we each post our own individual, but we're all connected through Talk Texas Oil and our hashtag, and we are just pushing forward for pro-energy news.
Okay, and you mentioned the West Texas Energy Consortium. Now, just so I'm clear, are y'all directly affiliated? Some of y'all are affiliated, or what's exactly the link there?
I'm the executive director for West Texas Energy Consortium. The Talk Texas Energy Oil Group, I just participate in as a social media expert, coming from a different background, promoting education and workforce and looking at the financial and political climate that affects energy industry.
Gotcha. Okay, so Talk Texas Oil. So let's talk Texas Oil. What is going on? What's the big news? There's a lot of fear in the market right now as we're recording this on June 26th, and it's a bearish market, and I know a lot of people are kind of concerned that prices may actually go into the 30s. What are you guys hearing out there as far as Texas Oil?
Well, for me out here in the West Texas area and looking at leases and looking at large amounts of acreage being traded on and off, there. Every week out here you hear of another company buying, millions of dollars or billions of dollars worth of acreage from another company. Kimberly and I attended an event out in the Permian last Thursday, and some of the executives, you hear, talking around the table. It's that, hurry up and let's wait and see. I didn't get the sense that there was a, widespread panic. There was some of that, well, is this a bubble? But for right now, the plans that they had come up with at the beginning of the year, as far as their budget and their strategic plan, they're still moving ahead with. And I didn't really hear anything from folks saying that they were going to back down. They are being cautious, and they are very much listening to what's going on abroad and how that could possibly affect deals that they would be making in the future on a local scale.
Yeah, and one of the things there I think that's interesting is it seems that a lot of the experts agree that the prices right now, they're going to get low, and because inventory is rising. But it seems to be a consensus that as soon as this kind of magical spot's going to happen where the price is going to go so low that the inventory will stop building up, and then the inventory they're expecting to seem to decline pretty quickly, which means that we're going to kind of be in a roller coaster mindset where prices will go up and then prices will go down. And just from my perspective, as long as that kind of hits in the right spot of the year, I think the industry will be okay because, like you point out, we set the drilling schedule and the budgets, beginning of the year, and so as long as these high inventory, low prices kind of hit third quarter and not drag out to late fourth quarter, early first quarter of 18, I think we'll be okay. It's just really a timing issue because we don't want companies setting their yearly budget, first quarter and the price of oil is $30 a barrel, so I think it's really going to be a timing issue to kind of see what happens moving forward.
Definitely. And I think it definitely will play into some of those larger companies and those companies that were able to absorb a lot of the credit risk that they took early on. And then when the downturn hit, they were still able to stay afloat. I think some of the ones that have struggled, we probably won't see them, come back to the level that we expected. But I think for the folks that are out here and looking at the rigs that are drilling and the activity, because they're, constantly driving over there Wednesday and Thursday, there was a lot of activity in the Permian, I saw an uptick in activity versus when I was over there, say October, for another event. That, there didn't seem to be as much. And also, you can always tell how much activity is affecting the infrastructure in other towns and how well things are being received is the waits at restaurants, and then also, renting hotel space anytime I need to go over there. I never really had a problem finding a hotel room or even finding a hotel room at a decent price. This past time, my usual hotel that I stay at that's very nice, I'm comfortable with, the price tag attached to it was kind of hefty. So I thought, no, let me look around, and they're all starting to get that way. And that's the way it was previously, in 2009, 2010, when things were kicking off.
Right. Now, Kristen, you're on the private sector like I am. And so what do you guys feel about the market? Are y'all, it seems that, as the vendors out here, where we come out and we go, okay, we're excited about the year. And then we spend a lot of time working and developing relationships and making connections. And you see the price kind of fluctuating and you go, oh no, just stability. I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. Just give me stability in the oil price and I'd be happy. So from a vendor's perspective, are you guys, kind of like us going, okay, we think as long as we can get to the end of 2017, we'll be doing good. Is that kind of what you guys are hearing as well?
Ron Underwood, the president of the company, he's pretty good at forecasting it out, and he's been in the industry for so long that he anticipates it being tough, and we hold quite tight to our numbers. But the overall, we deal more, we look at the market as far as oil and gas, but we also deal with steel. So, we're looking at all the different things that factor that as far as anti-dumping laws and things of those regulations, which change everything, considering we don't really have too many U.S. American steel mills right now. So, but as far as the outlook for us, we're looking at, balancing out probably in the middle of, next year. But we're not worried too much about it. But I will say, though, we've got a lot of people coming into our office. A lot of people's jobs are shifting, and but there's a positive note, and everyone's really excited. There's been a lot more work, and as far as the market and it balancing out and stuff, we're all hopeful. But it's really hard to tell. Especially with OPEC and everything involved in that. It goes a little bit further than my expertise. But we're sitting okay, and we are along with some of the other people that have, went through the ride on the downturn. And we're still in the game, and we're proud of that. But we've seen people come and go. So we're just kind of holding on tight to what we have in inventory and looking at, our end users and things like that. And, sitting pretty tight to the game as far as it's concerned, I guess is what I could say.
Right, and it is a badge of honor. It's a badge of honor, and it's a badge that's sad if you make it through the downturn, because a lot of good people who, for no reason other than just bad economics, lost a job, and we had to lay some people off, and just about everyone I know lays people off, and I've seen some companies that I thought were going to make it through, and I don't know all of why they went out of business, but they went out of business through a downturn, and so it's one of those things where you're right, you're very proud of it, and at the same time you're humbled, and you're saddened because you know of a lot of good people who had to leave the industry because they couldn't get a paycheck. I want to talk about the E3 Summit here in a minute, but I want to talk about social media, because one of the things that I've noticed is that, and I got to pick on oil and gas folks here a little bit, is that at least from the corporate mindset, oil and gas folks, they seem to struggle with the idea of social media, and it's very bland, it's very generic. When I deal with renewable folks, it seems that they kind of got a better grasp of what's going on with social and how to interact there. That's why I love you guys, because I got a tag the other day on Instagram. Y'all tracked me down on Instagram and tagged me, and there was 4,000 hashtags and all this stuff on there. And so anybody who was remotely interested in what we're talking about, you had a hashtag there for it. And so I just loved it, because that's what we need to do as oil and gas professionals if we're going to get our message out there. So just kind of walk me through y'all's mindset with social media, and what kind of drives you, and is there one platform that you'd prefer over another?
I don't know if there's a platform, because we've really done well on all of them, and it's different people that it reaches to. And that's our goal. We want to be the bridge, and we want to bridge all the gaps that are out there. And social media, it's one of those things where when I first started it for our company, I had to convince everyone that we needed it. I had to convince everyone that it was a positive thing. I had to convince everybody that we were fighting the other side on it as far as the oil and gas on social media. So, and to put yourself out there, it gives you a little bit of vulnerability. So we launched it for our company about 4 years ago, and we just started growing our pages. And my goal was to have it on all my mediums. Was going to be pro energy. And then I was just lucky to connect with people like Katherine Stokes and Kimberly Smith, who were advocates on, in their right and on their platforms. They go Twitter and Facebook, and I speak for Kimberly, but we're on Instagram, Facebook, Periscope. Periscope's really what launched us as far as getting us written up in Rig Zone, and I'll just kind of pass it on to Katherine from there.
Yeah, what we looked at is because every one of us come with not only a different expertise as far as our focus and our commitment to energy, but also an expertise of what we feel comfortable with as far as social media. And so, Kimberly may put something together on her on what she's comfortable using as far as the different social media accounts, and she just sends it out. And then, we might tag in all of our accounts, and then anything new that she might not be doing, whether it's Snapchat or Periscope or some of the other video pieces. But really what we wanted to look at as a group was, how could we globally broadcast and allow individuals that are in rural communities, international, offshore, like every kind of geographic or energy expertise spectrum, and have them involved in the discussion. And I mean, we have folks that are executives or VPs at large E&P groups that know about us and comment, and we might see them at an event and they comment. And then we have folks that work out in the field that email and tag and comment to some of our things on Twitter that, they actually work out in the field. They're doing every day what the engineers are sending down for them to do and sending reports back at. So that's what we wanted, is to have it much more organic and have every individual involved. And all of those individuals represent such a broad spectrum of the profession that we thought that would be the best approach to gain some connection, and also to help influence those conversations. Because I know, even just within an organization, you have the worker bees that they know what's going on a daily basis, but, the head bees up here have a different idea. And that happens to all of us. It does not matter what industry you're in, whether you're a profit, nonprofit, public, private sector. You always have that feeling of, if they would just ask me what's going on, I could tell them. And the opposite side, which is, if they would just do what I told them, everything would be perfect. Well, there's that disconnect. And so that's really what we saw this being for us, and just having, I've learned a lot from Kristen, from Spencer, from Chris, just because they're involved in so many different things that when you see some things that they record and they put out there, then you email and you follow up with questions. You're like, hey, explain this a little bit more to me. So I think it's great for us to be able to do that as individuals and realize that we're starting that conversation with other individuals. And it goes everything from, high school graduates to individuals that are master's level or PhD engineers that are interested in the conversation. I think that's a great way to open up some of those barriers, and barriers that we've put in place ourselves. There's no gates that are really closed saying you can't enter here. We've just kind of, socially put those up ourselves as individuals.
Right. And I think one of the things about the oil and gas industry is if you're not inside of it, you view it as, if you're not an outsider and you're not really thinking, you're not day to day, like you're saying, in the business working, you think of, an Exxon, a Shell, you think of these huge oil and gas companies, because that's all you ever hear about in the news for the most part. And you think of, billions and billions and billions of dollars. And the industry is made up of folks that are just regular folks like me and you. And a lot of the companies, compared to a Shell, are very small. They're just mom and pop small businesses compared to what a Shell is. And so I think the outside perspective, at least on oil and gas, is that it's, the billionaires sitting around. And obviously there's, billionaires in the industry, but there's a lot of folks who, again, compared to what a Shell or an Exxon is, they're just average companies. And, I don't want to throw any names here, but they're just E&P operators who don't have a $1 billion budget. They're just trying to make it along. And so being able to tell that narrative is one of the things I think that the oil and gas community could do, is get rid of it's all corporate, it's all CEOs, it's all suits, and it's all corrupt people behind closed doors. It's, for the most part, it's just average folks like me and you just sitting here talking and trying to get energy to people.
That's exactly what it is. And that's what it consists of. It's hardworking, focused, energy-driven people, and there's just so many different facets of it. I mean, there's people that drill water and oil, and are geoscientists, and they're independent oil and gas owners, and they run their family companies. And that's one thing too, that it's not all corporate. There's a lot of family passed down generation oil and gas companies that make up Texas, and it being it doesn't always go the corporate side. Whenever you're talking oil and gas, there's a lot of private sector business that that builds America and produces the number one. We're the number one producer of oil and gas, and private sector has a lot to do with that.
Okay, so I want to, just one final thing on social media. I'm going to throw out what I think of the various platforms for someone who may be going, okay, I'm thinking about getting social media, my company gets involved. I'm going to throw out what I would think and the pros and cons of each, and then you guys who are doing it all the time kind of tell me where I'm right, where I'm wrong, or maybe what I missed. So Facebook, I think Facebook is great for going out and targeting, paying dollars to go find people. So if you got a page and you're going to go and you want to find people, Facebook has a huge database that you can use to pay money to find people. The problem is you got to be committed to continue to pay over and over again to get your audience re-engaged. Twitter, I would say, is the best as far as conversations, finding people around the world who are talking about what you're interested in by using hashtags and things like that. The only problem is if you're not what I would call an advanced Twitter user, you don't have the list set up, stuff like that, you can kind of get lost in the noise. YouTube, I think, is great because it's the second or third largest search engine, so you can make videos that have the title for exactly what you want to look up. And then Instagram, I think the thing about Instagram is, the pros I love about Instagram is, like I said, y'all could use all those hashtags. The problem is linking's a little bit cumbersome in there, and so that's kind of my thoughts. But what are you guys' thoughts, strengths and weaknesses on the big social media platforms? Maybe some tips for the listeners who are at an oil and gas company and they're trying to get their boss to get engaged. What would you say? Hey, think about this. This is good. This is bad.
I'd say use all of them.
And Kristen does. Kristen does. She will use all of them.
Whichever one you're comfortable most on, and you find you get the most feedback. I mean, each of us are strong on different platforms. But I know that anything I've ever put out there, it's brought inquiries in, and it's also highlighted our purpose, which, for right now is the West Texas Energy Consortium. They are having the E3 Summit that we're promoting right now as Talk Texas Oil. So, but I would say wherever your main clientele, I mean, LinkedIn is a really strong one as well.
Yeah, I forgot about LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn.
And it is one of those things where whatever you feel comfortable using, because I know for some folks, Twitter seems very intimidating because, or you hear people grumble, well, it's only 140 characters. It was like, well, link it to something else. Like if you've put like a big text content on Facebook or LinkedIn, just link to that and just do a little highlight. But some of that is not comfortable for individuals. You have some corporations that because of their corporate, responsibility in-house, they don't want Instagram or Snapchat used, because of pictures, because of confidentiality and things like that. We always say to do nothing does more harm than just try one.
Right.
Just try one. Try two different things. Do what is comfortable for you, and then expand. And a lot of that is, especially I know a lot of it is you might have, some older individuals that don't feel comfortable using social media. And I always use, my parents, I use some of the folks that I've worked with in the past that they're in their 70s, they're in their 80s, they're on social media. For you not to have a presence and someone who is collecting Social Security or collecting their pension is more savvy in that's a shame. And it is, while there is definitely something to be said for the traditional marketing plans, which, involves a lot of old school marketing, there's a lot to be said of involving social media. And to me, that is an option for return on investment that basically you're investing some time, not a lot of money. If you don't want to, you're not spending $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 on an event marketing campaign. It's, what can you do now? So I would tell anybody out there that's not involved in any social media, just try one, even if it's just Twitter, or get on Periscope and just watch some of the videos just to see, okay, this isn't so bad. I could probably do this and post something for my company live. That we saw some really good educational videos just looking at like soil sample cores. And there are real short videos that, cost next to nothing. It's a cell phone and, push record and then upload. So I would say try anything and everything.
Right. Okay, so I want to talk about the conference, the E3 Summit. I think I will actually be able to sneak in as media for this conference, so I'm hoping to attend. But you're also having the Jackie Daly Show come out, and Jackie's going to be there. And so I don't know. I can't imagine why Jackie got a premium invite and I didn't. But I guess I'm not. I guess I'm not Jackie's status yet. I mean,
You're good, Ryan.
I'm not Jackie's. So I don't know. I'll have to email her about that and get on her. But tell us about the conference, what's going on, and then explain to my listeners why I wasn't invited as the keynote, so that, because I don't want you guys getting a lot of hate mail over this. So just go ahead and dispel the myth or something.
Right.
You're setting us up.
Yeah. No, what the E3 Summit started out as is more of an educators conference. We, especially out here in West Texas, we have a large, out of the 49 counties that the West Texas Energy Consortium covers. I mean, almost all of those are rural communities. Our big hub cities are Abilene, Midland, Odessa, and San Angelo. And they're not over 200,000. So, and maybe in the Metroplex, they would consider that rural. We consider rural anywhere from 3,000 people or less. And that's most of our communities out here. We have over 117 ISDs and 7 of our community and technical colleges that are out here. All of those educators have to have some form of professional development. A lot of really, really great conferences that are here in the state are all along the I-35 corridor. And I've been to several of those conferences, presented at them. They are very nice and very well done. But because there's a lot of travel involved or registration fees are just price prohibitive for some of our smaller ISDs to attend. So we wanted to bring something out here that is a little bit, smaller in concept. It's not 3 days long, but it's something that would allow educators from all over the region to get together and do some professional development workshops, to have some different vendors come in, or business and industry meet with them, and just have a time for them where it's just a convention focused on education and professional development. We had last year snuck in a piece that we involved business and industry, and we said, we want you to be here. We want you to have those conversations with educators, because these educators are basically growing up your future workforce. And we saw that there was kind of like with, upstream, midstream, and downstream, kind of that disconnect with communication. Our educators do a wonderful job educating our students across the state, but there was just something missing that we wanted business to be involved in. For instance, one of our automotive dealerships, he got together with 4 other professionals in town and went and sat down with the ISDs and said, you're really doing a good job when you're looking at your automotive technicians. Here's something else we're seeing when those students graduate and they come to us to get a job. And it was just little things that if those instructors had known that, the difference that it would have made. By making those subtle changes in the curriculum and what was presented and some things that needed to happen in the classroom, it shortened the training time and shortened and decreased the dollar amount that employer had to invest in the training part, because that's the big part, is recruiting and retaining that employee. That's a huge dollar investment for any employer. So this year we've expanded on that, and we're still doing the professional development for the educators, but we're also opening up a larger exhibit area, and we're inviting every kind of energy service industry, any kind of infrastructure industry. We have Gateway Energy Services, Texas Instruments, Heartland Solar. We have a wind energy company coming that we want them to be able to talk to those educators, and educators be able to ask them questions. And it's providing expert conversation on STEM education and how that translates to the business and skill sets that employees need when they come out of the classroom. And we'll have those exhibits open to the public as well, because those companies we're very appreciative that they're giving of their time. And it's not a cheap endeavor to travel from out of town or even give up a day, even if you're located here in Abilene, to spend at a booth. We know that some of them also have current positions that they're looking to fill. And so we're opening this up to the public so that anybody from Abilene or the surrounding area, if they're looking for a job, to be able to come in, or they just want to see, hey, what these service companies, or what are some of these companies doing that are in town? Because we found there are some companies you didn't even know they were there because they don't have a big storefront, or they might be in an industrial park that we don't all, it's not like going to the mall where you see all the storefronts. If you're in an industrial park, the only reason you're getting visited out there is because somebody's coming to see you. So a lot of that is to promote products, services directly to individuals and institutions, and also just to show the community and our educators, hey, we support you, and we want to be a part of educating our future workforce and supporting our future communities.
What's the link to the website so that the listeners can go and check out this information, which will be the E3 Summit, which is on July 19th in Abilene, Texas, just right down the road from where I'm at. But if you wanted to find out more information, where could they go?
www.e3stem.org.
Okay, and just let's throw out a few hashtags and social media accounts on where people can find you, because you are all over the place and you're posting like crazy. So if you want to find out more about the Talk Texas Oil, where could they find that at? And also the West Texas Energy Consortium.
Right. You can follow us on Twitter at Talk Texas Oil, no spaces, or if you're looking for the consortium, it's at WTXEC. We also have Instagram, Facebook. I think Kristen has us set up on every possible social media account you could have, Snapchat, Periscope, any of those video links, and Vimeo. Definitely look for Talk Texas Oil, West Texas Energy Consortium, and Talk Texas Oil did a great job this past week of supporting the Permian Road Safety Coalition. So anything having to do with energy, look for hashtag Talk Texas Oil. Okay, great. Is there anything else that we need to plug or promote before we let you off today?
Nope, I think we're good. Just hashtag Talk Texas Oil and the E3 Summit 2017. And you can find the West Texas Energy Consortium on all social media channels if you just search at WTXEC.
Okay. And again, for my listeners, please don't send any hate mail to them. They just found out about this show and the enormous reach that it has. So they're new here, and we're walking them along. And so, but no, we appreciate you guys coming on so much. It's been fun, and look forward to getting tagged, hopefully another post soon, and watching the feedback from that. But thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Ryan.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks again, ladies, for coming on. Really enjoyed the show, and look forward to seeing you at the E3 Summit. Folks, if you're going to be in Abilene or around Abilene on that day, July 19th, would love to meet you. Shoot me an email. You can find my contact information at globalenergymedia.com/contact, or Twitter. You can find me at Ryan Ray Sr. The Global Energy Leaders podcast is produced by Michael Sims and Chris Prine. Chris Prine also serves as editor for the Global Energy Leaders podcast. Until next time, keep climbing.
Thanks for listening to the Global Energy Leaders podcast, powered by R Squared Global.